City Council's budget meeting addressed a wide variety of issues around Lloydminster, one of those being one of the Lloyd fire trucks needing a replacement. The $1.1 million price tag is unavoidable, pushing the length of time with the old truck for as long as possible.
Years old. The schedule of following the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association guidelines, is 20 years. So we've got an extra year of life out of that fire truck. But at the same token, it's important that we follow some guidelines.
Mayor and council were in consensus regarding not wanting to compromise the safety of residents.
The equipment that rolls up to your house when you call the fire department and ask them to come out and rescue someone, put the fire out, is going to get there on time as fast as it can. You know it's reliable. They kick the pump in and the pump will pump.
The city, as discussed throughout the budget meeting, will supply the fire services with an additional $45,000 for vehicle headsets and a rehab and command trailer. The Libby Young Centre is hosting an online fundraiser to raise money for the programs and services it provides. We have more in this story. I'm here with Trina Schmidt, the Executive Director of the Libby Young Centre. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having
for
me.
people not familiar with what you guys do there, give us an idea of
Absolutely.
the services you provide and the programming.
Absolutely. So the Libby Young Centre has been in existence since the early 80s. We're a not-for-profit organization and we support people living with mental illness. So we have a variety of programs, including our life skills program, our supported living program. We do day programming and we do community outreach.
Okay, now all of those things do cost money to put on and to provide. So tell me a little bit about the online auction fundraiser that you guys are doing.
Absolutely. So our Mental Health Matters is our annual campaign to help us raise awareness around the needs for mental health supports. And this year we have an online auction that we're doing. The website is 32auctions/LYC. We have 34 different items on there up for bid.
Okay, can you give me an idea of some of the things that have been donated?
Absolutely. We have leisure activities from an hour of axe throwing for 4 people to some time at the Sticks to shoot pool and arcade. We have gift baskets both for men and women, a basket full of Starbucks goodies for you. And we have a couple featured items of Oilers tickets. One set of tickets for 4 in the Sportsnet Lounge, unlimited tap of food, unlimited non-alcoholic drinks, and of course service to your chair for other drinks. So pretty cool item.
Yeah, some great stuff.
Yeah.
I guess with mental health being the focus a lot this last little while, last number of years, it's surprising to see that some people still struggle to reach out for help. What are some of the reasons that people might not want to reach out for help?
Well, I think, first of all, we're still at a time where mental health is not seen as important or as equitable to physical health, and it actually is. Mental health, having good mental health lets us move through the day, helps us enjoy life, helps us, face adversity. And it's equally as important as our physical health. So sometimes there's stigma attached to feeling like I'm struggling with my mental health, should I reach out? Sometimes it's not knowing where the resources are. In fact, here in Lloyd, a community needs assessment was done in 2022, and only 27% of people said they felt like they knew of or had access to the resources they needed. So I think awareness raising is a real big part of that.
Yeah, actually I was reading that statistic and found it quite shocking. If people haven't been touched by mental illness, it's sometimes hard for them to grasp that people do actually suffer and need help.
Yeah, absolutely. But also mental illness can be something that we live with and live with quite okay or quite fine. As long as we have those supports we need, the therapies we need, the medications we need, people can live with mental illness and have quite a good life. So always important to reach out and ask for help.
If that was the case, what would be the first step, I guess, here in Lloyd?
I think in Lloyd, there's a few supports. Certainly can reach out to Libby Young and get a sense of what is out there. We do have our mental health and addictions services here in town. Lots of resources to tap into. It's making that first call. That's always the important one.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Trina, for your time this morning. I do appreciate it. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, and Thomas Wildman is here with me to discuss the weather. And it looks fairly nice heading into the weekend, but still pretty windy.
Yeah, well, just because, here in Lloyd that our winds are just absolutely horrid some days, and especially when they're really getting up there. We're seeing those we've got good, nice temperatures, but just with those wind chills, and we're getting into those winter cold temperatures. But we're still above where we usually are at this point. I'm back home. I was able to sneak away this past weekend, and we're still rotational grazing back at my place, and that has never happened in all of my dad's years at the farm in November. But like I said, here we've got 3 as the high today. Low of -9 is typical, but that normal just a little bit better than usual right now here in Lloydminster. And so looking at the current temperatures, we're just sitting at a nice chill 0. With that wind chill, we're going down to -6. Humidity is about that 55%, but the sun's out, so it's not terrible. Just make sure you've definitely got some coats and toques on to make sure and gloves to make sure you're covering up your more exposed areas. Looking at North Battleford, they're quite a bit warmer than us, sitting at 3 degrees with a low of, with that wind chill, they're going down to -1 right now. And then going towards Cold Lake, they're sitting at exactly the same thing pretty much, with a high of 1 degree and going down to those -3. So just 2 places that kind of get a little bit more tree coverage than here in Lloydminster, and so they're not feeling that wind as bad as us. Looking across the region now, Cold Lake is sitting at that -1 as mentioned. Bonnyville and St. Paul at 1 degree as of right now. Lacklebish similar to us at 0 degrees, with Vermilion and Wainwright also at that 0 degree type. As we go further west, we're seeing Vegreville at -2 and Edmonton at 1. Provost down there at 2 degrees, and we're sitting at that -2-ish temperature right now. Now taking a look at the Saskatchewan side right now, we're going to be seeing Lacklebish at that -2, and then Pearson, Green Lake, St. Walburg, and Meadow Lake all sitting in between that 1 and 2 degrees right now. Maidstone's going to be at that -1, similar to us. And then as we keep going down, North Battleford is at 1 and Macklin at 2. So now taking a look at tonight's forecast, it's going to be going down to that -8 right now. Turning out, it'll be a little bit clearer, so definitely be sure to be bundled up if you're doing any evening activities tonight. Taking a look now at North Battleford with their -9, it's going to be turning out a little bit clearer out there as well. It's very similar to us, that -9. With that wind, you could be getting into the low teens. And in Cold Lake, they're also going to be seeing that, but possibly a flurry there. Clear to partly cloudy with a flurry late at that -10, 42% chance of that flurry coming down in Cold Lake. But now we'll take a look quickly at your 3-day forecast. And this is the positive part here in Lloydminster, as Thursday is going to be pretty similar today with a 3 and a low of -2. But as Friday and Saturday come around, we're going to have some nice, beautiful days. They're at a high of 8 with a low of -1 and -2. Plenty of sunshine on that Saturday, so be sure if you've got any fall activities you haven't completed yet, get them done on that Saturday. But that is going to do it for this first look at weather. We will have more news headlines after the break.
The 52nd edition of Canadian Western Agribition is just under a week away, as the greatest livestock from around the country will head to Regina for a full week of events. With more, here's our Thomas Wildman.
Today, I'm happy to be joined by Bruce Holmquist, one of the past presidents of Canadian Western Agribition, as he's here today to talk to us about the 2023 edition of Canadian Western Agribition, one of the biggest cattle shows in North America. And so thank you so much for joining me today, Bruce.
Thanks for having me, Thomas.
And how are preparations coming along for Canadian Western Agribition right now, Bruce?
Yeah, the barns are pretty much set up, ready to go. I was speaking with some of the staff last night. I personally haven't gotten down there yet, but yeah, things will be ready and cattle will be moving in. The eastern cattle, Ontario, Quebec, always come a bit earlier, and some end up on some farms in the surrounding area. But there's also pens that they go into there. And then the move in is Saturday for for all the cattle. So it actually starts a few days ahead of the Monday opening of the event.
And Agribition, of course, is well known for its cattle events, but it also has plenty of other events, including the rodeo and various other livestock events as well. So Bruce, talk to me about those events and some of the big new ones that are coming, and of course the big events that are the headliners of CWA.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a, some small changes, but the beef cattle show is always the main event for a lot of people, most people, especially the ones in our circle. So with that, there's right around 1,600 head entered, so it'll be full, which is great. And I've traveled quite a bit this fall to Expo Buff, Toronto Royal, Brandon, AgX, and recently up to Farm Fair. So it's some great cattle this year. I mean, I don't think the cattle's ever been any better in the seed stock sector, have you say. And a lot of things will be up for grabs, but along with that, they've added a bullfighting competition. So there's a little bit of excitement there that will go. And then, that it's the mainstay with the rodeo, of course, being another real feature. Trade shows always huge and a real important economic driver, not only for the show, but also in attracting people to the city. And that's something that Agribition's been very focused on, is maintaining a broad base of reasons and to get a broad cross section of people that come to town for it.
And so there's two interesting things about the 2023 edition of Agribition, at least leading into it, Bruce. One of them is that it's a little bit earlier in the year than it usually does, at least it feels like it, though part of that could be because of the fantastic weather we've been having right now. And so hopefully that weather will stay the same. And so talk to me about those two things, especially how the nice weather has been faring for Saskatchewan right now.
Well, first off, with the calendar, that's what Agribition follows. There was the 1 year with the Grey Cup that we bumped it back. So traditionally, it is the week of American Thanksgiving. So that's where it falls again. So it actually is a normal time. It might be a few days earlier, just the way the calendar shakes out. But it's the traditional time. The weather, I hate to even talk about it because everybody wants the good weather. It's not a lot of fun driving in on or going home, especially with bad conditions. So our fingers are crossed that it'll hold true. I mean, anybody who's showed any cattle does like to get into freezing at night. Cattle stay a little cleaner in the tie-outs and things like that. But we'll have to take what we get, but fingers are crossed that it'll be good travel conditions, both coming in and going home.
And finally, is there anything else you would like to add, Bruce?
I want to invite everybody to come to it, whether you're an exhibitor, a family of exhibitors or not. There are some good cattle. The commercial show is on the go, Bullpen Alley, and some things there tied to it. There are extra meetings that are extraneous to Agribition. I know the Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association has a reception, and there's other things happening as well. So if you check the Agribition website, www.agribition.com, or through social media, mainly Facebook, and there will be some Twitter messaging as well. That'd be a good place to get information.
Thank you so much for all the information, Bruce, and we will definitely see a lot of cattle and people coming from here in the border city.
Yep, hope to see everybody.
Now here are your agriculture prices for today.
Well, we have Stephanie Dobson joining us once again. Stephanie is a collaborative lawyer, mediator, and educator with Hanka Divorce Law and Mediation offices in Lloydminster and Edmonton. Stephanie, thanks for joining me once again.
Thanks again for having me, Stacey.
We are continuing our theme of division of property, and today we're going to talk about employment pension plans. Obviously, this can be a very contentious issue, especially if people have been together for a long time. So, when people are separating and they have a pension, where do you start with this to go through and make sure that everybody gets what they're supposed to get?
Well, first, this is a huge topic. And so we're going to break this down into a couple of weeks because I figured that there was so many things to talk about that we may need a little bit longer. So we'll just go through some of the basics today. So first, when we're looking at pension plans, we need to look at what type of pension plan people may have. Now, when we say the word pension, our viewers may think of a couple of different kinds of pension. They may think of their government pension, like CPP, or OAS, or they might think of their employment pension. So in today's episode, as you said, Stacey, we're going to be focusing in on employment pensions because they're actually considered to be family property and divisible along with other forms of family property. Now, we are going to focus in another session, another episode on CPP credits specifically, but today's employment. So within that employment pension, there's two different kinds of employment pensions. One is called a defined benefit pension plan, and one is called a defined contribution pension plan. So first, under the defined benefit pension plan, this is a pension where you're guaranteed a certain amount of income to you upon retirement. Now, these ones are based on formulas guaranteed by the employer, and there are things that affect those formulas, things like length of employment, salary during your employment, age, and of course, there's many other factors. Now, a defined contribution pension plan is much like a registered retirement savings plan, an RRSP, where there's contributions made by a person during their employment. So that might be employee only contributions. That might be a combination of employee and employer contributions. But in the end, there's no formula to this. It's just contributions plus growth. We hope growth over time. So we have to figure out, of course, the value of that pension plan, whether it's defined benefit or defined contribution. We have to figure that out as we go through the separation.
Okay, and how does the value of the employment pensions get determined? I'm guessing it's a little bit more complicated than we might think.
Now, of course, it's going to depend on the type of pension that we're talking about. So let's go in reverse order this time. So let's start with the easy one, which is the defined contribution pension plan. So this is the one I said is similar to an RRSP. So to value this defined contribution pension plan, you're simply going to go to your the financial advisor, who is the one who holds these pension plans. For example, if you're a Synovus employee, you might go to Sun Life, where they have their employee pensions, and there will be certain intervals, where you'll get your statement. So it might be annually, it might be quarterly or monthly, and then your divorce professional will tell you the date range that they need. So they might need 2 quarters worth of statements, for example. Then let's go to the more challenging one. So the defined benefit pension plan. So in order to value this pension, there's a starting point of how to value them, but it's only a starting point is the one I want to emphasize here. So the first starting point is to request a pension estimate from your pension administrator. So how you do this is going to vary from pension to pension. And I always recommend that you do an online search for the pension name, and you can come up with a set of instructions on how to actually get that value. Now, on our website, we've actually created in our resources section some links to some of the common pensions, and you can get that information there. But usually when you're filling out that form, one of the things you need to pay attention to is what's called a period of joint accrual. That is the start date and the end date for the value that you're requesting. So you might need to get some advice on what that start and end date should be, but basically that's one thing you might have to look out for on the form.
So once you've received this pension value estimate, is it as simple as just putting, a number on a form, or is there a little bit more to it?
Well, guess what? It's more complicated than it may first appear. So the number that you get on that form is not necessarily an exact value. That is your pension administrator's estimate based on their own set of criteria and assumptions. And it's meant to just be an estimate. So I highly recommend that when there is that defined benefit pension plan, that you actually get a pension actuary, which is a pension valuator, to value that pension to make sure that the value that we're putting on it for the purpose of division of your property when you separate, to make sure that that number is accurate. Now, the important thing here is that even if your pension administrator has valued your pension at 200,000 and your pension valuator, the actual actuary that you've paid to get this valuation, says that your pension is worth 250,000, sometimes there will be limitations on how much you can actually transfer to the other spouse, even if it's, if the pension valuator and the pension administrator actually value it differently.
Okay, well, once again, Stephanie, a lot of good information, and also why we're
Complicated.
going to be, yeah, also why we're going to be continuing this theme throughout the rest of the month so we can dig into it a little bit deeper. So
You
thank you
bet.
so much for joining me, Stephanie, and we'll be back again next week.
Thanks, Stacy.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
It's an exciting day here today on Primetime Local News. I have some special guests with me today. It's the Motley Troupe, and we're joined by Stephanie, Krista, and Jim. Thank you guys for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Well, we have a play coming up here. It's a dinner theater, and it's always so well attended. You guys have changed your name this year, a little bit different focus, but it's still the same people having the same fun, and people will come out and enjoy. So let's talk about the performance this year. It's called Lagoon. We'll start with you, Krista. Tell me a little bit about what the play is about.
Sure. So I can give you a little overview. We always like to keep it a bit of a surprise, so we don't nobody knows truly what's going to happen until they get there and see the performance. But Lagoon is based on how would I describe, sort of a Gilligan's Island sort of theme, with a whole bunch of other plot lines that are intertwined through that initial theme. So be prepared for beachy tropical. Be prepared for maybe some creatures that you might find on a tropical island. And I'll leave it to the imagination of your viewers, Stacy, to think of perhaps some of the other things that could happen when you're stranded on a tropical island.
All right, and Stephanie, you are one of the actors. So without giving too much away, can you tell me a little bit about the role that you play?
Yeah, we don't like to share really who we are, because we like to keep it a surprise for the
Okay.
people coming to watch. But I play two different characters. They're both very different from each other. I don't know what to say.
And that's pretty much all you can say. Well, that's okay. We don't want to give too much away. And Jim, same question to you, I guess. Are you playing multiple characters as well?
Yes, I am. I've got two characters. They're fairly close to one another, whatever off in this one. So yeah, it's a couple of quick changes here and there, but all in all, it's going to be a blast.
Right. Well, can you tell me about the dates and the location of this? And also, when people purchase their ticket, what is involved with the ticket?
For sure. Well, I can take the first part of that, Stacy. So our performance dates are November 30th, which is a Thursday, December 1st, which is a Friday, and December 2nd, which is a Saturday. And the format for all 3 evenings is pretty intense. Doors open at 5. We're going to have lots of fun games to play. We'll have live music right off the hop. Dinner's at 6:30, and different than last year. And in fact, the last 20 years, this theater group has been operating. We have a different caterer on board with us this year. So it is someone that is known and loved in our community, and has really done an incredible job working with us to create a menu not to be forgotten anytime soon. So dinner is served at 6:30. The performance starts at 8. We do have an intermission where, again, we'll have live music. The Prairie Dogs are performing during our intermission, and everybody loves them. And then when the final curtain drops, we have 1 Cent Melon, which is another local band that's going to be playing us out into the evening. So it's a pretty jam-packed evening for anyone coming looking just for a little fun, or for people for bringing their businesses and their colleagues for Christmas parties. It's always been a really popular event for that.
And one of the really good things about this is that several charities are going to benefit from this. So you get to go, you buy your ticket, you get to eat a great meal, see some great entertainment, and you're helping several good causes. So what are the charities this year that will be benefiting from this?
Do you want to talk about where we've been rehearsing as a charity?
Yes, we've been doing, when we started first Wednesday of September, we are at the Legion. They've allowed us to go in and use their facility for all this, our practicing and stuff like that. It's been really great on that part of it. So that is one of our goals or deal. We're going to raise some money actually for them also to help them out for the veterans and stuff. So.
And that's branch number 39 here in Lloydminster.
Okay, and there's a couple of others, is that correct?
There are, yeah. Do you want to talk about any of them? Yeah, and then we can fill the blanks.
Another one is the Lori Craven Ball Tournament. It happens every August, and then they have many fundraisers throughout the year. So they raise money. All their money goes directly to families in the community who need it. That was kind of a big push for us, is that we wanted something that money just goes directly to the people and there's no middleman there. So that's another one.
And then all of the charities, first of all, I guess I should have said, Stacey, is that all of the charities are near and dear to the cast and crew's hearts. So, that's why you see such a widespread this year. We do have additional charities, and those are all really centered around the breakfast programs for Lloydminster. So the public school division, the Catholic school division, but as well, because our production actually takes place at the Kids Gotti Community Hall, we wanted to support breakfast programs for Kids Gotti, as well as the Hillmont Community School. We have a couple of actors that live out in that area, and so we really wanted to ensure that all the charities were near and dear to who we're connected with as a cast and crew.
Well, this is going to be an exciting show, and I thank you guys so much for joining me today. Before I let you go, can you let me know where people can purchase tickets?
Yeah, and before I do that, sorry, as I said, we do have a long list of charities.
Yeah.
The final one is a kind of a newer one here in Lloydminster, grassroots organization that provides outreach services to individuals that are unhoused in our community. So going into encampments, providing hot meals, providing really the necessities to keep people alive on our streets. And that is the street team with the Lloydminster and Vermilion for Equity organization.
Okay,
so,
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So a little bit of everything for everyone, a lot of diversity, and some really, really practical needs that these organizations have. Now, moving on to tickets.
Yes.
I'll tell you, by the time everybody gets a chance to watch this, they better run to Mel's Hair Shop to get tickets. We're very, very close to selling out. Both with our sponsorships, we've got a couple of really cool ones left, but also with our regular tables as well. And please, if folks are thinking that they need to buy a table of 8, you don't. We sell single tickets, and we've had quite a number of folks come in for 2 tickets or 4 tickets, and the magic on the back end is that we're putting cool people with cool people when they buy single tickets like that. So absolutely. Lots of new friends are always made at our productions, and this year we don't expect to be any different than that. So Mel's Hair Shop here in Lloydminster at 5201 48th Street. Hours are odd and unusual, so please call before or pop in during the day. She's always there. But if you need special arrangements or want to learn more about our sponsorship, you can send us a message through our Facebook page. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram under The Motley Troop, or you can call Mel's Hair Shop at 780-870-9222.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Good luck with the production. It's always a great event. So looking forward to seeing you guys here in a couple of weeks.
Uber is launching a new service in Edmonton where drivers can be hired to do household tasks and chores. The pilot project is called Uber Tasks, where employees can opt in to help customers with small projects like building furniture, snow removal, holiday decorating, and more. Fort Myers, Florida is the only other city participating in the pilot. I don't know, what do you make of that?
It's intriguing. I just realized the snow removal thing. I know there's, you know, especially for maybe some people who are older or have some disabilities, of course, you need to clear your snow throughout. So I think, you know, it'd be a good way even for some people even around here that they could make some money by just saying, hey, I'll come and clean off your snow. It's a good thing, especially for some younger people of the community to just make some quick money, hopefully, through Uber.
I'm just not sure about letting strangers into my house. Anyways, that's all we have for you tonight. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening.